We're taking a look at the 2019 election controversies and if democracy has a future in Nigeria. Let me start with you, Aki. Okay, with the way things have gone over the last, 3 weeks, thereabout, it was supposed to begin on the 16th first, but then it was postponed to the 23rd. But there has been issues. There have been issues here and there, allegations of voter suppression, vote buying, intimidation, and what have you. There's been, different issues, different complaints coming from different camps. Let's get your thoughts, your overview of, how you have been able to analyze the entire situation.
Yeah, the issue here is that in this country we always love what I call a fire brigade approach to solving issues or to resolving issues. And indications that this year's 2019 general election may not be so smooth and easy with us was the refusal of Mr. President to sign that amended electoral bill, which could have served as a leverage or that could have solved most of the problems that we saw in previous elections. But, according to him, the time was short to sign that amendment. And that was why we have to go into election without an amended electoral laws. But be that as it may, the attitude and the pronouncement coming from most political actors was not helpful. And INEC on its own took a lot of things for granted, knowing fully well the peculiarity of Nigeria, the different geographical locations and how to assess them in terms of logistics and all the rest. The assurance we got from INEC was that all is set. And we were so prepared, everybody had the mindset that, well, all is well with INEC, not knowing that there are going to be hiccups. But be that as it may, with what we have seen so far, the results are not palatable. It is far from being transparent, credible. We may want to credit ourselves, we want to pretend that all is well, but I can say all is not well, because we've seen nations just similarly, like Senegal, that did their own election. I don't think they have all this type of problem. And INEC, for one, for sure, has enough logistics, money fund to have, envisage some of this problem and to probably give solutions. But again, this is Nigeria, and we find ourselves where we are. My only suggestion is that after this, we'll be able to sit back and to do what I call a total appraisal of what took place, how we got to where we are today, and try to improve on them. Let me stop here.
Okay, let's get to you, Julius. Now, the chairman of INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, did say something that after this election cycle, that there needs to be a national conversation around the entire electoral process. And seeing what has happened between the 16th of February, the 23rd of February, the 9th of March, what do you think this conversation should be about?
Well, good morning, Abuja. Yeah, before I make my comment, I would like to say a word for the victims of the ill-fated Ethiopian crash. I just saw a video of the last moments of the passengers of the flight. It was very traumatic. I want to commiserate with the families of the victims and pray that the Lord will grant the deceased and their soul should rest in peace.
Amen. I say right to them.
Yeah. I think before we go about the conversation, what the conversation ought to be, we need to explore what the issues currently are. And some of the items, some of the issues, some of the things that came up during this election cycle are, one, rigging.
Alleged rigging?
No, it's obvious when you say alleged. Let the lawyers go and sort that out.
Let's stick with alleged.
No, but we know what we know, and we can have a alleged rigging. If you say, but vote buying, you want to say alleged
vote buying.
Voter suppression.
Alleged voter suppression.
Voter intimidation, ballot splashing, and you could say that the non-neutrality of some of the electoral officials. Then poverty. You understand? Most of these things also revolve around poverty, because when you have people who can't feed, who can't take care of their daily needs, when a politician comes and offers them maybe 1,000 or 2,000, they think it's an opportunity to get something. You understand? Then the vote buying, rigging, what other issues are listed? Voter suppression, like in case we had in Lagos, voter intimidation, suppression of certain people, and all the rest. The electoral process is broken down. You know, I thought in 2015 we made some progress. You know, it was not perfect, but you could tell that at least we had made some progress. But in this election cycle, it's like we regress. You know, we are taking a step forward, and it was as if we took about 5 steps backward. You know, it's not ideal. The situation is not ideal. In smaller countries, in Ghana, in Senegal, you know, they have election that you could be proud of. You know, in our case, it is terrible. We've also had situation where the security officials are participants in the electoral process. Like in case in Rivers, you've seen videos of people trying to resist the police or the military from snatching ballot boxes or harassing or kidnapping coalition agents. The INEC itself just declared stopped all the electoral process in Rivers, supposedly because of the involvement of security personnel. So all these issues, it is mind on me that in 2019, in the 21st century, we can't conduct a peaceful, credible election. And it's has not only got to do with INEC, it's also about us as a people, you know. So I think the conversation we should have should be a very comprehensive conversation. It's not just about the electoral amendment bill that the president refused to sign. Even if he did sign it, I'm sure it would have made some a little different, but not much. That would not have stopped people from harassing certain people from going out to vote. That would not have stopped voter intimidation, voter suppression. That would not have stopped vote buying. You know, that would not have stopped snatching of ballot boxes. You know, but you could have digitalized the processes more, in the sense that it would have made card reader compulsory. Then you could have made the transmission of results by electronic means. They don't have to carry the ballot boxes and go to one central location. It would have made it better, but there would have still been issues, and these issues have to do with us as a people, our ethics, our values, our attitude and character. You know, why must you kill the people you want to represent? Why must you kill the people in the process of getting their money? It doesn't make sense, you know. And sadly, most of these infractions happen in the south, in Rivers, in Bayelsa, in Akwa Ibom. You know, in the southwest, it went peaceful.
Why do you think that was?
I think it also has to do with the values of the people. You know, I'm sad to say, when the issues of cultism and, you know, all these issues, they're more prominent in militancy in the south. You know, so I think it's a carryover. So that same attitude of non-state actors having guns and being aggressive, being, you know, restive. So I think it's a carryover. Even the political leaders are like that. You know, they are not different. You look at what is happening in Kano State. An incumbent is almost losing his position, and there are not people killing each other. In Oyo State, an incumbent has lost. They are not killing each other. In Adamawa, it's stopped. They are not killing each other. But in Rivers, in Akwa Ibom, you find killings, and I don't understand. How can you kill the people you want to represent or you want to get their mandate? So I think the conversation we will have will be so comprehensive, not just about the electoral amendment bill or the laws governing the election. The conversation should also will also have to do with us as a people. What values do we want to express in our election? Do we want to be violent? Do we want to kidnap electoral officials? In Imo State, some talks when they live on TV and beat up the coalition officers and sacked everybody. So I don't see what laws there are laws against that anyway. But you know, how could that happen? So we have to have a comprehensive conversation.
Let me ask you a question based on some of the things you have said, because there was one comment that was made by the president shortly before the presidential and national assembly elections, which really raised a lot of eyebrows.
Yeah.
He said whoever snatched ballot boxes would do that at the risk of their life,
Yeah.
and that would be the last time they would do that.
Yeah.
How effective do you think that statement was? Because we've seen videos. I mean, I believe you must have seen
Can I
videos
say this?
of people snatching ballot
Can
boxes.
I say this? I don't think it's neither here nor there. They have been snatching of ballot boxes, especially if the ruling party is involved. You get to see nothing. Do you understand? It's like that statement was made for the opposition that if they should get involved in electoral matters, they'll be dealt with. But I've seen cases where the ruling party, like in the case of in Imo, allegedly those people, according to what we gather online, that the APC talk, then how could they get into the place where they are collating results? There are security personnel there, so you could see there is a compromise or a collusion. How could they? Non-state actors go and sack where the Independent National Electoral Commission is collating and about to announce results, where there are security personnel there. Do you understand? In Rivers State, we've had cases now, they are not shooting ballot boxes, the security personnel. They are allegedly stealing ballot boxes. So what is the implication of that? What's the import of that? Who gives permission? Who gives the authority to soldiers to get involved? The president can give. The command structure gets to the chief of army staff, probably chief of and the president. But I don't see any of those people in Rivers State. None of them have said anything about giving permission for soldiers to go into communities trying to harass people, such that INEC will have to stop the electoral process. So I don't think it's a very sincere statement in the sense that it has helped our electoral process.
Let me get to you, Akin. Just like what he has said, that these issues, especially the violent part, seems more prevalent in certain parts of the country, especially in the south, and southeast. Why do you think we have more of these issues in those parts of the country? For example, in terms of general security, those parts of the country appear to be relatively peaceful when compared to, say, for example, the Northeast. But funny enough, for the elections, those other parts of the country, the Northeast, has been relatively peaceful, while the Southeast and the South has been the war zone. Why do we have these situations? And why do we have political actors? Why do we have politicians appear to be so desperate to want to win elections?
Yeah, this, I will say, sponsored and manipulated violence. Because those things that you alluded to, they are the economic hub of the nation. And every political party will make every effort in the world to make sure that they secure Akwa Ibom Rivers in their political kit, even if by Elsa. Will it not surprise you that this level escalated violence was not witnessed even when our dear President Goodluck was pitched against, I would say, fight for the presidency to return for the second term, even against a northern candidate. This level of violence was not witnessed. But it is surprising that in a season, at a time, when two northern politicians, Buhari and Atiku, are contesting, that the fight is not in the north, but it is in the south. That is where we should start to, interrogate what exactly happened. So, having laid this foundation, I want to say that what we are witnessing in the southern states is not ordinary. There is more to it from the analysis I've given so far. Because the two contenders are from the north, and the fight is in the south. So what is happening? Before this time, there are attempts to locate, to situate the Nigerian, the Nigerian political problems as that of the elites that are so desperate to make sure that they cause confusion among the people. Because there is no basis. Now, look at the instance of Rivers now. It is not as if APC has a governorship candidate. And
they adopted the candidate, the candidate of the EAC.
That is where the problem lies. That's where the problem lies. Because having adopted the ADC candidate, now there is this desperation using federal might and all the rest to make sure that they take rivers by force. And it is this type of situation that has led to this unnecessary, attrition and violence. And to make matter worse, for the first time, the military, both the genuine and the one we can't even identify, they are taking a center stage in a purely civilian, process of electing our leaders. You see, this is baffling because before this time there was a build-up. As I said, Amishi was alleged. No, it's not a matter of alleged. It was shown to the whole world. Came and he was saying that in 2015 that the PDP used federal might to make sure that they took over rivers, and at this time around the same thing is going to happen, if not in a higher dimension. And he ended by singing a war song. Everybody clapped for him. Now, he has sown the seed of discord, militancy, whatever it is, overbearing and all the rest. And we are reaping the fruits. So it is not a matter of beating around the bush. We know where we are coming from, where we are. But the only thing we don't know is where we are going.
Interesting. Now, let's talk about the role of the military, because this is purely a civil exercise.
Yeah.
And for some reason, we do have the military involved. And when you see pictures, videos coming from certain parts of the country, for example, Rivers State, you see the military, you see armored trucks. Why do we have to get the military involved in an exercise that is purely a civil one?
Well, I think in recent memory, the first time we really found the military getting recently, apart from 1999 when we learned the military, they were in fact the custodian of the electoral process, and of course they were fully involved in it. In recent memory, the latest before this present situation, the first time the military was fully involved in the electoral process for negative reason was the Ekiti 2014. Not 2014. Was it 2014
yes,
when
2014.
Fayose defeated
Fayemi? Yes, 2014.
And they played an inglorious role in the election. The voter intimidation, voter suppression. They in fact worked in quotes for the for the ruling party at that time. You understand? So it was very bad. We all condemned it. I think the APC went to court to get an injunction to ban the military. But so ironically, the PDP is not in power now. The APC is in power, and the same thing is happening. That's why I talk about our culture, our attitude, our character, our ethics, and our value. It's a Nigerian thing. Probably if the APC should lose in the 2023 election or something, and the other party, whoever party, will continue, then we don't make progress. The military has no role to play in this election. They absolutely no role. What role would you conceive for the military in a civil process as far as people going to vote?
Well, you talked about the prevalence of militancy, organized thuggery. Hold on.
Yeah.
Militancy, organized thuggery in that part of the country. Don't you think the role of the military there would be to help, to supplement the security forces?
No, I don't think
and
so.
help them?
I don't think so.
I've had such instances.
I don't think so really. If the police are fully empowered, I don't think the military.
But is the police fully empowered?
They are, they are. If they are to play a neutral and objective role in terms of, in fact, in Rivers we had a clash between the military and the police. Allegedly the military came to snatch and the police stood up against them. And I can't understand what is happening. We don't make progress as a people. Let's assume it was done in the past and we have a change. Why? Who gave permission to the military to get involved in all these things? Apparently it's not the Minister of Transport. It does not have any authority to command any person in the military to do anything. So who is giving the permission? Who is authorizing the military to do what they are doing in these states? So you could trace it up. It is saddening. It's not right, because whenever you like it, this party may not rule. It's not likely to rule forever. But then another party comes in and says, "Oh, they did it to us. We are going to do it back to them."
And it becomes a vicious cycle.
It's a cycle, and we go on and on and on. Then you have smaller countries in Africa making progress, building sane, conducive societies for development. And we can't have election. What we have is war.
Okay, with the way you sound, I hope you will not encourage some other persons to want to check out of Nigeria. We should encourage all Andrews not to check out. Andrew, please do not check out as you're listening to us this morning. Let's talk about the electoral umpire now, INEC. There's been calls for the resignation of the INEC chairman, Mahmoud Yakubu. In fact, that call went crazy shortly after he announced the postponement of the elections from the 16th, starting from the 16th to the 23rd. But then you have to look at the issues we have on ground now.
Before I respond to that, I just want to tell to let my friend Mr. Garrett to understand one thing, that with all the military presence in those areas, have we fared well? With all the military might, what is the outcome of the presence of military? So what I'm trying to say in essence is, what is wrong is wrong. We are only progressing narrow by allowing military incursion into Nigerian politics. It is a dangerous trend. Having said that, now let me come back to your question as regards. You see, the issue is beyond Professor Yakub Mahmoud. The Nigerian society is configured in such a way that we are trying to play the ostrich. We have problems that has to do not only with election, but with the total country, the way we are organized as a people. The polity, the economy, the totality of our national life is embedded in what I call, negativism. And these are the things that the various national conferences that took place hitherto were trying to address. But in this situation of holier than thou attitude, our politicians always tell you that all is well. But all is not well with Nigerians. Nigerians know, even the leaders, they know that all is not well. And the danger of this type of pretentious, hypocritical attitude to governance is that when you allow all these problems to ferment, to escalate, it can be very disastrous. Like it was the same situation in Rwanda in those days. You understand? Everything was taken for granted. Hate speeches. Tribal. Attrition and acrimony. People just thought that it was okay until Rwanda went down. I just pray that Nigeria will not go that way. Let me go back. You have something.
Yeah.
What I want to say.
You asked the question about if the issue is that. I don't think the issue is that. I think it's obvious that I in fact have sympathy for the INEC boss. He's overwhelmed by the challenges.
But the argument is that there's been cases and places where there's been issues with the results. And what people have said is what the INEC chairman should have done is to refuse to announce. And he may not be able to control what happens in those places.
He's done so. But I think it's obvious that the INEC is overwhelmed by the challenges they're facing. Not necessarily out of their own lack of capacity, but that have to do with us as a people. I don't think INEC hacks when people go and beat up INEC officials with the police doing nothing. When soldiers start shooting and trying to change results, I wonder what INEC can do about those things. They have their challenges.
Now that's the question. Now, while they cannot control those incidences, but they can refuse to announce results from those places.
Like in River State, they stopped all the electoral processes. That's one of the things they've done. Going back to what we said about the soldiers being involved in the electoral processes, if they are neutral and objective, but they will not be neutral, they will tend to support the government in power. The danger there is this: if you get soldiers to do something evil or to act irresponsibly in a place, and there are other soldiers who feel angry about that situation, you have a problem in your hands. If you have two contenders, you have a war situation. If you take soldiers from somewhere to go and beat up people in River State, and maybe soldiers of River State indigenes who are there start shooting, and it will degenerate from being a electoral violence to a serious war and rebellion. So it is in our own interest that we get these people off the field and empower the police to do their job in a fair and just manner. You think because the government in power now you can get anything done? That is what you have in other places, and you have a rebellion. You see what is happening with Boko Haram now? We can't contain it anymore. I recall in 2009 they were shooting Boko Haram members on the streets. They would take them and people were rejoicing and laughing. It was wrong. You could have kept them somewhere and tried them and they were shooting because they were weak. They were laughing. So that police would throw them on the street. I saw those videos. And I was, what is this? Then 4-5 years we are begging Boko Haram to come and negotiate because they have been empowered and ready to take on the state. You are going to beat up people because they are weak and what? Then they take up arms, then 5 years you are saying, no, let's not fight. Just do the right thing.
Given all that has happened over the last couple of days, especially in Rivers State, no words from the president or the presidency, good or bad?
Well, probably we're still waiting for, what do you call that, Shim Galvas of this one, and what is the other?
Femi Adesina.
But as a parting short now, let me just say here that, just in tandem with what you are saying, when you allow the military this type of role in electoral process, what you are calling for, you are only rubbishing the military. The military is the last institution that unifies this country.
Yeah.
And if by omission or by commission we allow this to happen to the military, we are shooting ourselves on the foot.